Hi, Mike Kennedy with you. I saw this article that was kind of trashing MREs, meals ready to eat, like the military uses, and saying how bad they were. And they're not really, but they're made for a specific reason. So I think we have to look at that. You know, soldiers are out, they get separated from the area where they can actually eat a meal that's been prepared, regularly, so they have these meals ready to eat. Now, soldiers work hard, soldiers can sweat, and needing to go to the bathroom all the time isn't a good idea. So these meals are high in calories, high in salt, and they're low in fiber to reduce bathroom breaks. Now, if you read about MREs, they'll say right in the information that you can read about them online. This doesn't say it, I guess, on individual MREs, but you're not supposed to be eating MREs for more than 2 weeks. And what's going to happen is they're not meant to be a complete nutritional solution, okay? They're a stopgap, short term, to provide what a healthy person's going to need to keep being active and complete whatever they need to do before they make it back to where they can start eating normally. So really, they're really good. So how does that translate into normal use for people that like to do long-term food storage and things? Well, number one, you see these things where people sell like a whole pallet of these and say, oh, here's a year's supply of food. Well, after you eat MREs for about 2 weeks, you're going to find out you're going to have a problem because they lack fiber. You're going to have you might have some serious constipation issues. So they can be used to supplement other food, but they can't take the place of other food. It's still, if you're actually saying, say you live in an area where, you've had dramatic weather events and things, and you really believe that you need to have a month's worth of food at your house in case some event happens that you're expecting there might be some flood or some hurricane or something that's basically going to be that you're on your own for 4 weeks. Well, as we said before, MREs are not going to do it because that's too long a period to eat them. So you would have to break that up and hopefully supplement it with food that's more balanced, that has fiber. Now, you could just incorporate in some fiber bars, similar to the type that Metamucilin makes and different companies make. But still, that's going to solve one issue, but it isn't going to solve the overriding issue that they're made for active service duty people for short-term use. So it kind of shows to some degree, I guess, someone is willing to sell you a couple pallets of these MREs saying that, oh, this is a year's worth of food. This is what you need to survive. Well, that's probably not going to work too good. It's probably going to get very uncomfortable in a few weeks. I often wonder it seems like the idea that, the world as we know it is going to fall apart and people need to be prepared, that seems to have gone down quite a bit, a downswing. And so I wonder how many of these people that have these stores of food that they got 5 years ago, 10 years ago, what are they going to do with the food? MREs, under ideal conditions, have a shelf life of 60 months or 5 years. Now, if they get really hot, which is true in some of the desert environments, their shelf life goes down to a month. There are charts you can find that will tell you what the storage life is depending on the temperature that they're kept at. So it just brings up this interesting point. So MREs are really good for short-term use, and for active people. If I was going to go camping, a campground, I got my trailer and everything, and I, got plug into the power there so I can watch my TV shows and everything, put my feet up and relax. Maybe go to splash around on the beach down there once in a while. Well, that's a very inactive lifestyle, and probably if I had planned to eat MREs for a week, I'm probably going to gain some weight. Now, I talked to some active duty persons, and they said they ate, typically people ate 2 a day, okay? And they can, MREs, you can look up the different menus, but they're providing somewhere between, 1,200 and 2,800 calories in each meal. So eating 2 of them, you would go over what would be required for a more sedentary person. But if you're taking them in your hiking, you're traveling through somewhere, and then they're kind of ideal for that. You're remaining very active. You're going to need those calories. Going to use those calories up. You probably the additional salt is going to be fine because you're sweating that salt out and it needs to be replaced. So they're kind of ideal for that. Now, the one thing that MREs have that is interesting too is they generate a lot of trash. Okay, they come in a really rugged pouch to begin with. You saw maybe one of my other videos where I kind of cut it in a way so I can make a handle with one, and they hold 2.5 liters of water. You could use one as a temporary water storage device, or for putting some water treatment pills in to purify water. But you have that. You have the MRE flameless heater. You have numerous wrappers. The retort pouches have aluminum foil in them, and so you've got all of this stuff. So one MRE creates quite a bit of trash. So you got to remember that you're going to be bringing that all back out. Now, I assume servicemen, when they have them, I suppose it depends on where they are or what they're doing, because I would think, you could track military groups very easily if they just dumped the MRE trash when they got done with it, because there'd be so much. But you could just say, oh, here's one meal. Let's scout the area and we'll find the next one for the next, day that they did it or whatever. So it's just, they do generate a lot of trash. So you're in a situation where you basically, if you're hiking somewhere, you're going to carry in, carry out all the trash. But anyway, there has to be some other solutions if you really think that you're going to be caught in a situation where you need a month or more of food. And, a lot of people, that's easier to do than you think, because you just buy different canned goods and have an alternate means of heating them. If you think the source of heat that you have is going to be gone. In other words, say you have an electric stove, and the idea is that you think you're going to experience a weather event that's going to leave you without power for a month. The most, I think 9 days was the longest we've ever been without power, and that was the big ice storm of '98. So you have something alternate to heat it with. You can, whether that be you're in a situation where there's wood, or a situation where you have an actual camp stove that runs on propane or butane or something like that, to heat the meals, because generally things taste much better when they're either heated, or if they're made to be drank cold, they taste better cold. So, but think about that. The idea that if you're banking on those, you have to understand that it's really short term, and you're just going to have to. You would have to have a lot of other food with it. Maybe you could use them every other day or something. I don't know, but they're not really meant to be the sole thing someone eats for longer than 2 weeks. So just keep that in mind. And they have a new MRE. I've got to get a hold of one. They have a pizza MRE. Evidently, soldiers have been requesting it forever, and so now the military actually came out with one. So I'll have to get a hold of one of them and try it out. I like most of the MREs, except I'm not a fan of the products that have tomatoes in them, like anything that's the spaghetti and things like that. I don't like those at all. I guess I'm too spoiled with the homemade sauce my wife makes and things like that. But, evidently they're more similar to, someone told me Chef Boyardee actually made a lot of the spaghetti-based MRE components. So if you like Chef Boyardee, then you're going to be fine. And of course, if you're really hungry, you're going to be fine. It's interesting how what you think is good food drops dramatically the hungrier you get. I watched this one competition show where these group of people were, the idea was it's called the out of, like they had out of Venezuela. I think this was one of out of Alaska or something. But they have this certain length that they have to trek through, and there's a group of them, and people can, tap out at any time. They each have one of these spot GPSs where they can press a button, and that means someone's going to come, a helicopter's going to come and get them. But one of the shows, the group hadn't eaten in a while, and they got a porcupine and killed it. And you should have seen them raving about that thing, saying that this was the best food they had ever tasted in their entire life. Now, is porcupine really the best food out there that anyone's ever tasted? Well, probably not, but when you're hungry and you're really missing your food, the porcupine meat was high in fat. It's meat, and so they really liked it. So there's some interesting thoughts on food and what MREs are really